At half-time here at St Mary's Stadium, fairly forgettable half it was too. Southampton 0, City 0. Well, let's go back to the studio. We can get the thoughts of Steve Howey, Kevin Davies and our very own Natalie.
Welcome back to MatchDay Live. So it is 0-0 at half-time. Kevin De Bruyne looks a little bit angry there. Hopefully he channels that into the second half, and hopefully that will be a big second half for City as well. I'm still joined by Steve and by Kevin. Steve, a fairly forgettable 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think basically just that last action there, the free kick, probably sums up the first half. I think, obviously, City have completely dominated it. I think, what is it, 80% or something, high 70s%?
73% possession.
Yeah. But it's just been that final cross or the final pass. I think Alistair was sort of saying as well, I think, was it one, maybe his attempt on goal? I mean, Southampton will be absolutely delighted because they've just made sure they've been nice and condensed. Basically 9-10 players behind the ball. Don't think the goalkeeper, as I said, hasn't really been called into action. I'm just thinking sometimes, you know, can City maybe overplay? And is there a possibility sometimes one of the players just getting it out the feet and having a shot? You know, it might just take a deflection or something like that. But I think Brownie had picked up something as well, which is a fair point. It's going to be difficult for Southampton to do that again in the second half because they'll start to get tired. And it just takes one of them to switch off. And just one of them switches off, there's that half a chance. That's when you've got to punish them.
What did you make of the first 45 minutes, Kevin?
I think Steve sums it up pretty well, doesn't he? It's, from City's point of view, it just felt a bit laboured at time. I think the tempo was a bit down. It looks quite hot down there on the south coast. But I think Southampton have just been comfortable. They've not been asked enough questions. It's got to feel like it needs someone with a bit of pace. I think like a Doku or Mamouche to come out wide. There's no one really going one-at-one, just trying to stretch the Southampton team. I think Haaland's not really looking to run in behind because they're so deep, there's no space for him to go into. So Southampton been really nice, compact, hard to get through, and it's been frustrating for City.
At half-time, Southampton will go in being the much happier team. Yeah,
of course. I think based on the season and coming up against a team like City now with some of the big hitters coming back, they'll be happy with that so far. And again, they were very comfortable. Ramsdale not called into action, so they'll be pleased for the first 45 minutes. But like Steve said there, the way the season's gone, it'll take one error or a mistake to let City in, maybe a set piece or something at the moment. But it's not looking like they're going to score just now, so I'd be surprised if Pep leaves it too long before making a few changes.
So we are told that we can see currently on the pitch, Omar Marmoush is warming up. Steve, is that a substitution you would like to see? And if so, who would you take off for Marmoush?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. First of all, I'm pleased that he's warming up. I mean, I do like him. I think he's a player that's settled in very well, looks dangerous. He's one of these players that his first thought is to go forward. Now, is it probably McAtee? Maybe he's we haven't really seen a great deal of him this half. But having said that, we haven't seen a lot of Erling Haaland because there's not much room for them. But yeah, I think he's certainly a very good option to bring on. I'm pleased as well because he's in my fantasy football team. So hopefully you can get that goal.
I may or may have not transferred Marmoush out this week.
Ooh, big call.
Yeah. Well, I put Kevin De Bruyne in just to weigh it up a bit.
Man, I can't argue because you're doing very well, though, aren't you, in the league?
Well, I'm the Arsenal of the league. You can all take what you want from that. So, in terms of the game, Kevin, generally, what I do is I write down the big moments from the first half and we go through them one by one.
Blank, is it?
There isn't really any big moments from the first half. I mean, right at the start of the half, there was an incident where there could have been a bizarre own goal where the ball deflected off the Southampton player and went out. City have had one shot on target. I can't remember what it was. Southampton have had no shots on target. Any other key moments from that half that you can think of?
No, I mean, obviously they had a couple of free kicks there where you'd expect him to at least hit the target when you do a bit better, but other than that, they've had nothing really. And I think, like I say, it's just the way that Southampton is set up. They're really compact, narrow, and I think it's going to be the wide areas where City can hurt them, but not with the current players there because they don't look comfortable going at them 1v1. So for me, it needs someone just to try and stretch them, and then they can maybe get some nice balls in across the box there and cause them a few more problems. It's been far too easy for Southampton.
Right, we're going to head back over now to pitch side where we've got the wonderful FG and Michael Brown. They are there in the sunshine.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome back to St Mary's. Half-time, Not much to speak about. Southampton very, very difficult to break down, and it's proving so. 0-0 at half-time.
I think what you say is it's not a classic. It's been tough. I think we will have to give the respect to Southampton. That back five have stayed rigid, and four in front, they've not moved. And literally, when you say just retreated and waited, even the home fans have sort of cheered when they've got 2 or 3 passes just to get into an advanced area. So it's all been Manchester City. We haven't created enough. A couple of Kevin De Bruyne free kicks on the edge of the area where we felt like they could have been something to take the lead. A couple of crosses, a couple of balls in, some corners, etc. So for all the nice play, a few more clear-cut chances needed in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on the Kevin De Bruyne free kick. It was great to see. We're looking at the bench and we're seeing Doku, we're seeing Savinho. Do you potentially see the introduction of them, maybe?
Well, they were there a second ago. They were all out warming up very, very quickly. Omar Mamouche as well. Just as we come round here, they were almost walking and climbing over to try and get a warm-up very, very quickly. That, to me, goes to the manager. I'm ready. Get me on. I need to do something with it. So you can convince them sometimes, you know, if you're ready, and show that willing.
I mean, you can tell that it's not your first rodeo, because players going out on the pitch usually means there's a substitution happening at some time. I don't know if you can see Omar Mamouche there. He's got the ball at his feet as well with one of the coaches. Explain to me in football terms what that means then, Brownie.
No, it generally, no, sometimes players just like to get ready just in case, so they need more of a warm-up rather than 2 or 3 minutes along the sidelines. He might say, well, I need a full momentum, I want some ball work, I want to be ready, I want to really get into a better position. Some others just say, I only need a little bit because I don't want to go and sit down for 10 more minutes and get myself up again. You know, it just, everybody's different, but the odd time you do see it where it's with a coach, you sort of sometimes go, well, get him warmed up, get him ready, he's going straight on, do it now, then I can get him in, give him some detail, give him some prep, and then we're ready to go. So we've got lots of sort of players on the bench who can certainly change it. The setup, wide players with pace, if we want to go around the outsides, if we want to sort of open up a bit more, I think that might be important. That will give the space to Erling Haaland, and also we wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play more than 60 minutes in his first game back.
Do you expect the game to open up more as well from a Southampton perspective? They defended really compactly. I mean, but they're surely going to be tired when they've not got much of the ball and they're chasing men around.
It's tough, you know. Do you know? Actually, people think, well, you're not using your energy doing that, but what you are, you're actually just shuffling as a midfield. I've got to go across, close the gaps, and then pull people in. Where are they behind you? And it's harder than you think. It is a lone striker. Big Kev will tell you in the studio. It's so frustrating that, you know, you get one touch every now and then and you wait. But on the other flip side of that, he'll also be saying, if I'm Erling Haaland, get those crosses in. Can you feed me a little bit quick? I want a bit of space. He'll want it to open so he can get that chance. But it's all about control for the manager. You know he wants that. You know it'll come through. They'll find a way of a couple of little runs, whether it's the midfielder just jumps in between that sort of right-sided sort of centre-back and wing-back or the other side. We'll just have a few more bodies on the back line to make the difference.
Well, we'll be back to you at full time, hopefully with a lot more chances
celebrating
than a few,
here. We want one of those away days,
in
FG.
front
We
of
want to
our
be here
away
celebrating
section, our
with those 3
penultimate
points.
Our penultimate away game of the season. Look, Brownie's got a fan there. He's straight away. He's very well loved still, Brownie, isn't he?
We might have to blank that bit out because he might. We'll see, eh? But we'll go back to the studio, I think, on that.
Technically, I've also got a couple of fans here as well. Look, giving us a wave. They are in a home end though, unfortunately. So yeah, over to you guys in the studio. We're gonna go and say hello to our fans.
To be honest, FG has fans everywhere he goes. Whenever you walk around with that guy, the kids. Steve, the kids go nuts for him. Oh, it's wild.
I think the one that was pointing Brownie out, he'll have probably been sort of reminded him that Brownie at some point would have kicked him.
Yeah, probably.
He did like to kick people.
Yeah, probably. I wondered if he wasn't saying such family show friendly stuff as well when Brownie said, let's go back to the studio.
Yeah, maybe.
So never know with that as well. But thank you so much there to FG and to Michael Brown. And very interesting to see, of course, they could see in the background that Omar Mamouche was warming up. Steve, do you agree with the take that maybe Brownie's sort of take that we might expect to see Haaland and Mamouche swapping at about 60 minutes?
Yeah, unless he wants to bring Mamouche on straight away, and as I said, probably for McAtee. I think the lad will be disappointed because he hasn't really getting into the game, and I know it's difficult because he's still trying to forge his way at City. But yeah, I mean, I think later on, I think you'd definitely see Doku and Savinio. I think them two will come on at some stage as well, because the manager needs people, as Davies sort of said, just making it more difficult and trying to get down the sides. Of course, when you don't want to be taking Haaland off when you've got the balls coming into the box. So my take on it is he probably bring on Mamouche and bring on McAtee, and then just see how it goes from there. Then see how Haaland does, and then, as I said, take it from there.
So we know there's only a handful of games left now. Let's take a look at the table as it stands, because, of course, we are still aiming for that Champions League spot. So top 5 to get into the Champions League. Really interesting fixture-wise. So many of our nearest competitors play each other over the next couple of weeks. So you can see there, as it stands, we will be staying in 3rd place, which, of course, is enough, well enough, to get into the Champions League. In terms of our nearest competitors, Aston Villa play later on today away at Bournemouth. And then tomorrow you get Liverpool, who play Arsenal as well, so that's a big one, and Newcastle and Chelsea play each other tomorrow. So in terms of the teams around us, you can see we've done this wonderful graphic there for the run in there, and you can see, I mean, it's a very subjective thing, and obviously, you know, you can't take anything for granted, but in terms of the run in, ours looks much more favourable. You know, lots of them teams around us. Newcastle have got to face Chelsea and Arsenal. Newcastle, Chelsea and Arsenal. For Chelsea, Newcastle, and then is that Oh, that's United and then Forest. So they really are all playing each other. And then at the bottom there, Villa have got Arsenal, they've got Bournemouth, Tottenham, and then United. So in terms of the running, Kev, you'd rather have ours, right?
I think so. Listen, I know, obviously living in Bournemouth, that's a tough place to go and play as well. They can beat anyone on their day. So I think they'll be desperate to get those 3 points in the bag today, won't they, and see what goes on with the other teams. Of course, you don't want to be relying on other teams and their results. You take care of your own business. But I think it's just going to be an interesting run, and it's hard to pick who's going to get those places at this moment in time, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean, you would say City's probably got, without being disrespectful, the easier of the run-in. It is a big game with Newcastle and Chelsea tomorrow. I think Villa, I'm sure they've got Tottenham and Manchester United. They're in a Europa League final. So whilst it's tough initially, but when you think about what will both managers do with team selection, so they might have it a little bit easier. But for me, I think it's irrelevant what the other teams have got. Just concentrate on what you've got to do.
And what we've got to do is get a goal in this second half against Southampton. It's currently 0-0. A big 45 minutes for City coming up. Really feels like we need the 3 points today. Set the standard, set that for everybody to follow us for the rest of the weekend. So if you're not currently watching on the Manchester City app, get yourself over there for your second half commentary with Alistair Mann and with Michael Brown. We will all be back at full time, where hopefully we are celebrating. And I'd love it for FG and Brownie to have a chance to be celebrating with those fans at Southampton as well. Are we sticking with our predictions? You were 4-0, you were 3-0. Yeah. Anybody want to change?
I've kind of over-egged it a little bit, but I'm going to stick with what I've got. But I'll still take 1-0.
Sticking with 3?
No. 1 or 2 you take probably now, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, you just take 1.
Take a win, yeah. I went for 5-0, and do you know what? I'm going to drop it. I'm going to go to 3. I still think when we get 1, the floodgates open and the momentum steps up. So, big second half of football coming up from Manchester City. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back here at full time.
Thanks, Natalie. Welcome back to a very warm St Mary's Stadium. And without overstressing the point, City really do need to win this game. And they're going to bring on Jeremy Doku at the start of the second half. So City are making a change. McAtee, by the way, is making way, or has already made way, actually. And Doku will replace him. So Pep Guardiola's seen that a change was definitely needed.